Right. Ladies, gentlemen, and friends beyond the binary, welcome to the Monday Discourse for today, September 12th, 2022. I am your host, Tristan, and it seems that I actually have internet today. That's nice. That's nice. I'm not being throttled. Hello. My name's Tristan. I'm the host of Step Back, which you are probably watching right now, but you can find everything at stepbackhistory.com. Or I am also the co-host of the podcast, It's Probably Not Aliens, at probsnotaliens.com. I stream on Mondays at noon, internet and parenting schedule permitting, of course. And if you wish to support me, my continued work, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/stepbackhistory, where people see videos early for as little as 84 cents a month. I have channel memberships on YouTube. I've got Twitch Prime, or I guess everyone's got Twitch Prime. But if you have Amazon Prime, you can give one free Twitch subscription per month. And if you choose, it's money that you've already spent. And if you choose my channel, I'd be very grateful. But I would recommend you use it on somebody, just because it's free money to help independent creators. And if you do have any, if you do want to spend a little bit of cash, anything like a super chat or bits or Twitch subscriptions are also welcomed and appreciated, but not necessary, obviously. If you want to see my latest video, it is a history of Russia video of Russia in the 1990s. People seem to like it, so I would recommend that people check it out. And my next video, I have a new video coming out, hopefully. You know, if everything goes according to plan, my next video will be coming out on Friday. Hopefully to be finishing it for patrons and stuff today. On the 9/11 Truth Movement as a celebration of Step Back's birthday, which is next or is on Saturday. So, yeah. And yeah, if you want to submit questions to the stream, there will be links and such on my on the screen, but I'll put a link in the chat. This is a link you can go to submit questions for streams. I hang on to questions for a month after they've been submitted, just so that I can keep things fresh and you know, relevant or current, I guess I should say. And yeah. And if you, oh yeah, and lastly but not leastly, if you are here for the first time, if this is your first time watching one of the streams, please make yourself known. Please say hello, because we have a very active and friendly Twitch or stream community, which now is bridged because of the bot. So now Twitch and YouTube chat can both talk to each other, which I think is really good. So we are all set. Good times. Yeah. On that note, I guess it's time to get me on the horn, because it does seem like the internet is working somehow. Okay. Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Wonderful. Hi.
How do you do?
I'm doing well. I'm surviving.
Yeah, I guess we could start by saying you've had quite a day yesterday.
Yeah, Sweden had an election, and at the time of recording, it seems as if the right wing is going to win, which sucks.
Yes. I think you might
But
be quiet, but I think I can make you louder.
oh no.
I think I had turned you down for some reason. There we go. We're all good.
What about now?
You sound great now.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so we had an election, and it didn't go well.
Despite the fact
No,
that
so
now that election means that you're a politician, officially.
I know, right? Like I'm officially a politician. I have not been sworn in yet, but we don't swear in, so it doesn't matter. I have not received any sort of power, but I am now a politician, which means that whatever I say, both has more legitimacy and also is more stupid. So it's going to be great to be in this level of confidence.
Yeah, when do they let you do decrees?
Not ever, I don't think. Um,
Hmm.
we had a moment where the results, like for a brief shining moment, looked as if we might have a power change in the municipality. Um, and we're probably gonna have it next election, considering the trends are going really well. We might even have it this time, but it's very unlikely. Um, and then they would have me issue decrees and issue sort of like royal proclamations. But right now, I just have to sit in the municipal council and argue, basically. So that's gonna be fun.
Hey, that'll do. That's more than most of us can do. Um,
I like how I hate to debate Twitter. I hate to debate Twitch, and I hate to debate content. But I'll gladly get into politics,
hmm
which is stupid.
So now you are Congresswoman Mulder,
Not in Congress.
President Mulder,
City councilor.
City Jarl Mulder.
Yeah,
I guess you get to move into the Longhouse, the Stockholm Longhouse.
exactly. Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Oh, guess before we get carried away, you probably should tell people on the internet who are you, and
Oh
I
shit.
guess what do you do besides being a politician now?
I make YouTube videos on YouTube dot biz, and they're good, I think. I
hmm
say that I make YouTube videos. I haven't made a video in a while because I was on vacation. I had COVID. Election happened, and then I fucked up my sponsorship thing. So it's been it's been like a video has been on its way for like a month. But I do typically make videos. I'm making a
Excellent.
video. I make videos. They're good, I
Yeah.
think. And I
Still,
also host a podcast. I co-host a podcast called Leech Fest, which is about medical history,
yeah.
which is good. Released a new episode yesterday about monkeypox.
Nice. Stealth Monkey 11, thank you for the prime. All right. Um, yeah, that's awesome. You got a lot of irons in the
Monkey,
fire.
the
How
coincidence, the monkey coincidence is going wild. Sorry.
we're returning to ape. It sounds like after the last election that is pretty much the only path forward.
Yeah,
Return to monkey.
I've returned to monkey. Reject electoralism. Um, yeah,
So some people are asking how much damage this turnout could do.
it's not great. But the thing is, like, I legitimately think there's not going to be much difference because our current government, or the last government, depending on how you want to view it, we don't have a new government yet, so I'm going to say the current government. Um, Last election, they formed something called the January deal, which was a deal with like the center parties, so that they wouldn't have to have the Swedish Democrats in power. Basically being socially progressive but fiscally conservative. Or like
Now
fiscally like
Nazis. Don't you go Naziing.
exactly, like they're like no Nazis. Um, and but in exchange for that deal, in order for the Social Democrats to stay in power, they basically said, okay, we're gonna have a right wing budget, and we're going to have like a lot of sort of like liberalization of um like regulations and stuff like that. So they've been doing that for like the last 4 years anyway. Um, which isn't great, obviously. Like, employees are having it like it's easier to fire workers. It's harder to like organize. It's still like fine, but it's worse. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And now what's probably going to happen is the right wing coalition is going to get one mandate over the left coalition, which means that at the best at in the well best for them, worst for us, in the worst case scenario, they will be able to form a government. They will be able to form a government, and they'll be able to like be fiscally like liberal and sort of like keep privatizing things. um but beyond that, anything like, I don't think they're going to be able to do much, because they need, if only one parliamentarian doesn't agree with something that the Swedish Democrats wants to do, for example, that's it. Then that's it. Then they don't have a majority anymore for those votes. So if
Oh man, it's that razor thin, huh?
it's one person, one mandate. In last election cycle, we had a person who just went rogue, and because that happens occasionally, people just like leave the party during during like a mandate period, and they become what we call political wildlings, and then they get to stay in because they've been voted in, but they can vote however they want, right? Because they're not part of any party anymore.
Yeah. I seem
And
to recall
you know,
there being a situation somewhere in history where a coalition of centrist and conservative parties gave the far right a bit of power, but not too much. And it turned out fine, right? I don't know. I stopped reading history after 1937, so I don't really know what
yeah,
happened after that. But
nothing interesting happens after that. Nothing good anyway. Um, but yeah, like we'll see if they even manage to form a government. We might actually even end up in a situation where the left manages to form a government, but a minority government, just because the Swedish Democrats are demanding to be part of the government, not just supporting a right-wing government. While the moderate party, for example, are basically saying that they don't want them to be in government; they want them to be supporting of that government. So it's like, because we have like 8 political parties, and they all have like half of them have to get along in order to form a coalition. They might fail.
now, do you think you might end up in a situation that, like, I think it happened in Israel a couple years back, where they were unable to make a coalition, so they had to just keep doing elections over and over again until they found some sort of combination of things that worked for them.
Hmm. That
Um,
almost happened last election here, but we'll see how it goes now. Because people here really want like a stable government. Um, so we'll see how it goes.
Lovely. I just found out like yesterday that I'm having my city's elections in like a month, and it's going great because there is no competition for the running for mayor.
Oh,
So the person who was handpicked by the last mayor has no serious person running against them.
I'd love to have successions.
Yeah. Speaking of successions, um, my country's also becoming extraordinarily insufferable for the next week.
Yeah, because the Queen died.
Yeah, yeah. Oh boy.
I'm sorry about your friend, by the way, Tristan.
Oh yeah. Well, she was my side piece, and now she's gone. But in a good news for side pieces everywhere, King Charles and Queen Consort Camilla are now going to be.
What a truly cursed concept.
Um,
Queen Queen Camilla.
there was nothing yesterday. I think I saw the most like telling image of the time of the things that are driving me insane, all in one physical embodiment, which was yesterday. I was at a grocery store where in the parking lot they had a Ukrainian flag flying at half mast. And I was like, this is the most. It's just the most. It's the most exactly this moment I've ever seen.
Yeah. Really sign of the times, huh?
Yeah.
We say this every time, but like I really want to stop living in interesting times.
It's true. Can I
I
just
kind of just want to have like a nice decade for like a little bit.
Yeah. We're having but what's fun is that we're having a discourse. Basically what I'm finding very amusing is that our discourse is different than I anticipated. So
Oh.
like a good chunk of Canadians are just like, "Hey, maybe we don't want King like Charles because he sucks.
Yeah.
So let's maybe Canada Republic when?"
Yeah.
And
Sounds
then,
good.
but then the response to it is not like the sort of like weird Tory backlash is not like, how dare you besmirch the good name of King Charles III. Ballsy choice, by the way. Charles traditionally don't do super great, but okay.
Yeah, well, he's sticking to tradition.
Yeah, but most of the biggest defense that people can actually conjure up at this point is like, it would be too much work. Mostly because any movement for Canada to become a republic would require amending our constitution, and because Canada is like a super decentralized country where our 10 provinces are super autonomous, that every time you open up the constitution a bunch of like random squabbling comes up and ruins everything.
I love that you're like bureaucratically locked into monarchy.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of means that like I now believe that the UK will abolish the monarchy way quicker than you will.
Yeah. It'd be funny if there wasn't a monarchy, then would Canada just cease to exist? Like if we can't constitutionally get rid of the monarchy, but there is no monarchy, does that just mean Canada ceases to exist? Like it just poofs into the air?
No, you have to call in the you have to have a regent and have an interregnum or something.
Do we just like we do like what
a new monarch?
Yeah, so we have to like go and find the closest relative and make them just the king of Canada?
Or just any potential
Just find anybody.
like rule of the place.
There is a woman
doing this to angle a way to become monarch somewhere.
There is a woman in Canada who is associated with Canada's QAnon movement who declares that she is the Queen of Canada. So it could be this could be her move. This could be her long play.
Oh my god, yeah. But that's what I mean. Like instead of making that like weird person the queen, just make me queen.
Yeah, instead of a
I'm just
dark
saying,
lord, you will have a queen.
I'd be more fun than Charles.
You just show up like Galadriel in that one scene.
This is actually why I went into politics, because I now have because I have won an election, I now have noble blood.
Nice.
I like to think that that's how it works. When I get the municipal iPad, it imbues me with nobility, which means I can be elected head of state of Canada.
Nice. Yeah, there was, I think I told you about this when it was happening. There was one point where people were pitching the idea that since, I don't know, some prince, whatever prince is the one that's married to the Suits person. I don't know too much of the names. But when that prince was moving to the United States, basically because the queen was could not stop doing racial slurs to his wife, they moved to the United States. The thing is that the United States, if you want to actually live there, you have to renounce all noble titles to become a citizen.
Which is extraordinarily funny to me, by the way.
Yeah. It's probably the most based thing that America does. But
yeah.
but in order for that to happen, you they were like, oh yeah, we need to find a way around this. And so they were like, what if here's our masterstroke. Canada likes this prince a lot more than we like King Charles or even Harry. Is that the first one? Is that who was
No, William.
William? Yeah, Harry I think is the one that was actually coming to Canada or coming
Yeah.
to America. So they were like, we like him. We like the one that looks like Ed Sheeran rather than the one that looks like the bald one, the one who manages to be both bald and a redhead, a deadly combo. So what if we hear me out? There's like op-eds on this. What if we made them the king and queen of Canada and we just had our own little monarchy like it was fucking like the Brazilian Empire or something?
Yeah, I was about to say it would be the first, not the first, but like one of the few, sort of like new world monarchies.
Mm-hmm.
Along with, yeah, like you said, like the Empire of Brazil and the Empire of Mexico, I guess. Have there been other ones?
Nothing comes to mind. But yeah, the cadet branch that starts up in Canada. Yeah, exactly.
I hate that.
In Kaiserreich, the royals moved to Canada after the UK goes socialist. Could that happen? I mean, I don't even know at this point. I like Canada. So like, I'm you, Mia. You should count yourself so lucky you don't live in the Anglosphere right now. It is the worst place on earth to be, because the amount of sycophantic obsession with this 96-year-old racist dying has been absurd. And just and there is like this weirdness that like it feels like the UK is closer to dumping the monarchy than than the Canada or Australia are. Australia might actually do it because they're mad lads like that, but
I feel like New Zealand could also get into that.
yeah.
New Zealand has energies of like becoming less bad quicker than many of the other Anglosphere nations.
Yeah. The other thing that I think is going to happen soon, I think everybody knows this, that so ever since 2014, it feels like the UK has been doing nothing but giving Scotland more reasons to leave.
Yes.
And North Ireland elected that Sinn Féin government. I don't know. I think that map will go change in a very short order.
The Irish reunification of 2024.
Yep, this is the next crucial step towards that.
It's close.
Mm-hmm.
It's legitimately close. The fact that Liz Truss is like proposing to reduce the budget of Scotland by like 1% per year.
It's like, yeah, like, it's like she's trying. It's like she's trying to kick them out. It's like I'm gonna decline. I'm what's it called? It's like when a parent says like, you can stay here, but we're gonna start charging you rent, and I'm gonna, lower your allowance every week until you move out.
Yeah. I'm gonna take all of your oil. I'm going to store all my nukes in you, and also you get no money.
Yeah. When like I think like 20% of Scots live in poverty or something like that.
Mm-hmm. It's like way higher than in England and the UK overall.
Mm-hmm.
What's the current polling?
Also, it's just me. Like I'm trying to figure out Liz Truss's vibe, and it's like if Margaret Thatcher was a kindergarten teacher.
Oh, really? I'm getting if Margaret Thatcher was on crack.
See, the thing is, like, okay, so like some people say that she comes off as unhinged. To me, she comes off as like pleasant, but in kind of a dumb way. Like as if she only like half understands what she's doing. But either way, yeah. I don't know.
I can see that.
She's like happy in a way that I feel like is very unnerving for a British person to be.
Mm. All right. So after the invasion of Ukraine, more people wanted to stay. Before that, it was like a 10% or like very close in favor of wanting to leave the union, and had grown up to that level quite quickly, after being like on the edge for like a long time, or occasionally being like very in favor of independence. But after the invasion, there has been like a shift towards remaining, which I kind of get.
Oh shit, there's a war. I gotta stay close to London.
I guess the idea is that like it's like people want like people look to national unity in times of crisis, I guess.
I would just think like if it's like an alliance or like a safety thing, you know, like the European Union would be a better alliance than just Britain.
Yeah.
And something makes me think that what's his name? Otto Riefenstahl. I don't remember what his last name is. The Chancellor of Germany.
Yes. The somewhat social democrat.
Yeah, I know his first name's Otto. I can't remember what his last name is, but him and what's it called, President Macron would jump at an opportunity to take on Scotland just to spite the UK again. Schultz, that's it.
Yeah. Olaf Scholz.
It's Olaf, not Otto.
No, it's Olaf.
Okay. Feels more like a name from your neck of the woods.
You'd think, right?
Didn't you literally, like, your greatest prime minister's name was Olaf?
Yeah, but with an O. If it's Olof, then it's Swedish. If it's Olaf, then it's very German.
Ah. So that's a wild. It's been a week. I tell you, I also last Thursday I was like, all right, it's the morning. I'm good. This is gonna be a good day. The babysitter's here watching the baby. I went to a therapy session where we talked about like the flow state and how to focus and minimize distraction. And I was like, today I'm going to hunker down. I'm going to edit this video, and we're going to be very efficient. And then I got home, and then the fucking queen died. And I was like, God damn it. Now I have to make memes about this all day.
Yeah, same here. You can't work when the queen dies. You gotta meme about it.
It's true. And also Gorbachev died recently. Yes, I have been accused of killing Gorbachev recently because I made a video about the history of Russia the day after he died.
He saw it the day after he died?
Yeah.
Ah, damn.
He was a patron, so he saw.
He saw it early, died.
Yeah. Pizza Hut fan 420 mysteriously dropped his patronage right afterwards.
God, what happens?
Sorry?
What happens when a person dies to their patron?
My guess is that they would
Like freeze the card at probably like
yeah, when they shut down all their accounts and stuff.
Yeah.
The first time that I realized that I have a large enough audience that just by sheer statistics, a few of them have died by now is like weird to think about.
That's what I mean. Like it's. Ugh. Anyway.
Yeah. I do have some questions racked up from all of the streaming I haven't been doing this month. Because
I feel like everyone has had like a lot of things going on this summer.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Mostly
everyone has like individual things that like aren't a global thing, but everyone just has a lot of shit going on this summer.
I feel like it's everybody's first X since they kind of opened up from COVID, so everyone's like trying to just do like everyone is trying to see family that they haven't seen in like 3 years, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like it's the first summer where people can do shit and everyone's overcompensating. Yeah, that sounds right.
For me, it's going to be next summer because I can't do anything. I couldn't do anything this year. I have reasons. Baby reasons.
Mm-hmm. One very small reason.
Yes. As you can see. It's just, it's everywhere. Right before streaming, I had to do a thing where I had the entire floor behind me had like a blanket down with a bunch of toys and stuff like that because he was playing while I was trying to edit my video. So I had to I'm like, I can't look like the inside of a daycare during my streams. I'd like clean everything up right before at like 11:55.
The cutest shit I've ever heard.
He's what's it called? He's teething right now, so he is less than pleasant right now. But
I guess it's like chewing on everything.
Chewing on everything, drooling, but also just generally crying a lot and not really wanting to not be held at all times.
I get that. That's me when I work too hard.
Yeah. Every time we're feeling tooth pain, that's what we want to do. But there will be teeth soon. Okay. Let's see what questions we got. So we got some fun questions. All right. Okay, fun. We're starting off with white nationalists. That's fun. I like this. This is
wonderful.
We're back on brand. Okay. Why do you think white nationalists haven't really tried to appropriate the Byzantine Empire? So whenever white nationalists go on about how awesome Western/Christian civilization supposedly was, leftists will often point to how much more advanced the Middle East and China was during the Middle Ages. So I don't want to give them ideas, but I feel like a way that you could possibly respond to that is to point out how impressive Constantinople was 1,000 years ago. But so far as I'm aware, they never do that, and I don't get why. Do you think Constantinople is just slightly too far east to count as white Christendom in their brains?
Yep, 100%. It's wrong type of Christian. It's because you can talk about like Christian Rome, even if you want to be like that, or like pre-Christian, in which case it doesn't even count, in which case you don't even think about it. But if it's like pre-schism Christianity, then they're fine with that. They love that. But at the time when we call it like the Byzantine Empire, Christianity has diverged to a point where it's seen as like Eastern, and that's bad. And because white nationalists are, they're not just racists towards like what we would call non-white people. They are also racist towards a lot of people who are white, but who aren't white enough for white nationalists. Mm-hmm. Including people who are like Greek and like Eastern European.
Yeah. Plus, I would also say that there is a lot of like Byzantine nostalgia stuff that's being done by people in Eastern Europe. Like a lot of Slavic white nationalist groups are definitely doing it. And the biggest one is friggin' Vladimir Putin, who has often, like Russia's always kind of declared itself the third Rome, and definitely tries to pivot itself as the center of like orthodoxy and like that sort of legacy. So
yeah. Oh, for sure.
So it is a thing that happens. It just isn't a thing that happens in like the Anglosphere, where we most of the time our white nationalists tend to have their nostalgia based in either a sort of like Carolingian type Christianity, or they go down the other white nationalist path of like getting into pure Odinism and thinking that Christianity is what made Europe bad.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. They focus on the part of like very Western Europe history, which can include the Roman Empire, but then oftentimes include like the Western Roman Empire.
They don't talk about
occasionally like Holy Roman stuff.
Yeah, their Western their Western history doesn't seem to include the Taifa kingdoms or Al-Andalus or like the city-state of Toledo, where there was a huge collaboration between Jews, Muslims, and Christians working together for centuries. But
the best joke that I've ever heard regarding that, by the way, which you reminded me of by talking about Toledo. First of all, I've been playing a lot of Crusader Kings lately because I'm insane. But also, in an episode of Well, There's Your Problem podcast, they talk about siege weaponry, and they posit a fictional universe where they still have the podcast, but in sort of in the time appropriate of siege weaponry, like behold thine problem.
Oh, no.
Where they have like a Muslim scholar, a Jewish scholar, but they can do the podcast, but they can only do it in Al-Andalus. That's the only place that they can do it.
Yeah. It's the only place where like those people would be able to be together without being oppressed.
Like that's what I mean. Like, so this idea of like I would love for people to like fetishize Al-Andalus more.
Yeah.
in like Toledo, and like I would love that, like Muslim Spain, fuck yeah. But alas,
It was like a beacon of like religious coexistence and tolerance, and it got destroyed by the Reconquista, and it was very sad.
the Castellanos got in and ruined everything.
Yeah. And
As
now,
every other ethnic group in Spain will agree that the Castellanos do.
yeah. And that kind of like the thing is like then it also sort of erases that like, Iberia has this deep Muslim history to it that now is sort of because of the ethnic cleansing of Spain that happened under the Castilian crown is just like intentionally erased. Although it hides in Spanish. Spanish has so much freaking borrowed stuff from Arabic, and yeah, it's perfect.
God, the thing I learned a few months ago, which I think is so cool, also about like this like culture mixing, is I learned something about Maltese because I don't know anything about Malta or like Maltan history. But did you know that Maltese, like the language, is basically just Arabic but written with Latin letters?
Oh my god, it's like Turkish.
But like, isn't that so cool?
Yeah, that is wild. For some reason, I always thought it was gonna be something similar to Italian, but yeah.
Right. I also thought that, but apparently it's yeah. So I was this close to going to Malta for holiday this year, and I'm really itching to go like next year to Malta, just to see that because I always imagined it being like much more Italian and like Crusader-ish, but yeah.
That is wild. What's it?
The Mediterranean has a lot of cool shit in it due to all of that culture mixing.
Yeah.
And white nationalists love to ignore all of it.
Yeah, we had a very long would you, won't you at the bar on Sunday about the famous Sardinian cheese, Carsu Marzu. And it's like, would you? Would you? Have you not heard of this wonderful Sardinian delicacy?
Not. I'm looking at
It's
it right
banned
now.
in the European Union.
Yeah.
For reasons that will be obvious to you in just a moment.
Protected designation of origin, so they can have it, but no one else.
No. There are legitimate safety reasons for why it is illegal in the European Union. I just want to see the live reactions.
Okay. Oh God in heaven.
Here we go.
I'm reading. Okay. Kazumar to go beyond typical fermentation to the stage of decomposition, brought about by the digestive actions of the larva of the cheese fly. These larvae are deliberately introduced to the cheese, promoting an advanced state of fermentation and breaking down of the cheese's fats. The texture of the cheese becomes very soft, with liquid seeping out, and the larvae themselves appear as translucent white worms, roughly 1 centimeter long. Bro, what the fuck?
Yum. So it's illegal in the European Union because the cheese, the maggot in the maggot cheese, is alive when you eat it.
I just saw it in I just saw an image.
It's alive, and apparently they can survive the stomach and infect your intestines, and it's like, oh, fun. And then I was like, I went down a Wikipedia rabbit hole on this because I was like, how do you cure such a thing like that? And they were like, well, you take a round of ivermectin, and I was like, oh fuck. I guess if you need to be dewormed.
Well, you know what? I'd eat it.
There's actually this really great thing that was like a line of chips in the United States that were based on flavors and foods that were illegal. They were called illegal chips. So they had like chips that had the flavor of like they had Karsu Marsu flavored chips. They had what's it called? Horse meat flavored chips.
Mm-hmm.
They had fugu flavored chips.
Sorry.
What? Oh, something going on? Your microphone is cut out, but...
Sorry. I just realized my laundry machine is done.
Oh no.
Thought we had like a long time lost. I'll be back in like a second. Sorry.
Sure, no worries. I will entertain the masses. Hello. Hello, internet. Fugu flavor, how? Yeah, I didn't think fugu really had a strong flavor. But yeah, I'm trying to remember what the other illegal chips are. Let me see if I can find it. Illegal chips, that's the brand name. Pufferfish, horse meat, and kasumarzu. Those are the three flavors of illegal chips. Which is wild. What is fugu? Fugu is it's a species of venomous pufferfish that if you prepare it, because it's venomous, right? So it needs to be injected. So fugu is a venomous type of pufferfish that is made into sushi in Japan. And because you can swallow the venom without getting infected, because, you know, venom is injected, you can actually it actually causes this like numbing sensation in your mouth when you eat it. And it's also sort of like a macho thing of masculinity to eat sushi made with this pufferfish. So people in Japan eat it, and it's apparently like a thing. Nobody really dies from it anymore, but it is like more dangerous than your average food. Like if you have a stomach ulcer, it can kill you. And sometimes you have a stomach ulcer and don't know about it.
That's horrifying.
Yeah. That's like the most that's the most literal toxic masculinity thing I've ever heard about. But honestly, like the way that it's supposed to work is that if you're like a master sushi chef, you can cut the fish the proper way so that there's no poison in it. Fugu.
Yeah, which I love that the final like test for fugu chefs is to eat their own food.
Boy.
They have to eat it, like otherwise they're not allowed to cook it for other people.
It makes sense, or to not cook it because it's sushi. I don't know why horse meat is illegal in Canada though, or in America.
That's weird. I have
anti-French
horse meat,
bias.
like by the store.
This is just discrimination against French people.
They love it, of course. Also, I'm back.
You're back. Your laundry has been saved.
It has.
You can eat horse meat in Canada. You just can't in the U.S. for reasons. I don't know. Okay. Let's see. So that was our first question. Somehow we got into chips. Okay.
Also, I'm not on the screen.
You're not on the screen? Oh, right. Yes. I gotta switch scenes.
Because I fucked up.
All good. There we go. Problem solved. Okay. Now, do all of you ever get something I can only describe as societal pain? Basically, the feeling of being overwhelmed by bad things happening everywhere at once and being unable to really do anything about it. It's like a feeling of despair and hopelessness in one.
Yes.
Yes.
All the time.
It's why we have edibles.
I was about to say that, yeah.
I had yeah, it's not good. I have some radical wacky optimism in like the last like few months, but still, yeah, it's still rough. We're going through some tough times.
Yeah, I've completely lost faith after yesterday's election here. I'm like out. I'm gone. So.
You jokerfying?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh my.
I'm about to I'm about to commit climate terrorism.
Oh no. Can you say that next so that someone can make a clip of it so that oh no. Oh no.
Oh god, what happened?
The second you said that your camera cut out. Oh no, the what's it called? The Swedish Secret Service are coming for you.
What the fuck?
That was you could not ask for better timing than that.
That's. Oh
Did the camera cut out or did the lights go off?
God in heaven, everything's falling apart. I'm about to hear like the police entering the like breaking through the door. I know it.
Oh no. You're back.
Okay. Camera cut out, but we're back now.
Are you like everything's held together through like a complex bodge of random things?
Yeah, I'm a YouTuber.
Yeah. We all are trying to learn how to become small-time filmmakers, but none of us have any formal training and don't have any money. So it's like, what is the cheapest, best, but also cheapest way to make something that looks of professional quality?
Yeah. How you can tell the difference between like how much money a person had when they started.
Yeah.
Because some people they'll get all the decorations, they'll get a fancy camera, fancy setup, and they'll start but have no charisma, and then you have people who have like a ton of charisma, but everything looks like it's shot on a potato because that's all they have to work on.
I know one relatively popular YouTuber right now who like has like, you know, like not living off of their channel, but is like a reasonably large channel who is still filming on her phone.
Who's that?
Mexi.
Yes.
Mexi still films on her phone, and like I'm like it works. But, you know, I do have... So, okay, I will say this. I will share this one bit of optimism that I had lately. I've been following a lot of news on the one thing that I'm like, okay, I think that... this is going to make... Okay, first of all, I am not a Kurzgesagt, just so you all know. This is going to make me sound Kurzgesagt-y, so... But no. I follow a lot of energy stuff, like the energy business... the business of making energy, which means I try to keep up to date with like how fusion power is going. I try to keep up to date with like how oil speculation is going and that kind of stuff, because it's super duper important. And there are a couple things. There are a handful of stories that have made me very optimistic, and I'm already realizing I think I've already said this to you. Basically, one. That it seems that climate models... I have three things. Climate models have seemed to show that with what little we have done, which is still too little and needs to be more and faster, but we have already at this point sort of steered the ship away from the apocalyptic levels of climate change and now just towards the life will just get a lot shittier levels of climate change. So,
which is nice.
Yes. Two, the latest modeling seems to indicate, because we were always being surprised that things were changing so much faster than we thought. And it seems that the reasoning is that the atmosphere is actually a lot more reactive to how much CO2 we're putting out at any given time than we thought, which means that if we are able to turn this around and reverse or get to at least zero emissions, what we previously thought was going to take thousands of years to return back to pre-industrial levels would actually probably be a matter of decades, because it seems that the natural systems for our planet to absorb carbon dioxide, if we just stop spewing it out, could take effect faster than we thought, which I think is really optimistic, or really good to hear. So if we were able to stop it, we would be able to at least mitigate some of the really bad stuff in a matter of decades. Within, like, you know, my kid's lifetime, things would start getting better. And the third thing is that a lot of oil company CEOs and basically the culture of executives in the petrol industry have moved to a period of managed decline. all of the major oil speculation firms wrote this. There's this big report that came out in 2021 that showed that they think that 2019 was probably the year of peak oil consumption, and that after the pandemic happened, pretty much every major oil producer stopped exploration. And now that, and then while the pandemic was going on, while demand was low, a bunch of regulations got put in place that are going to make huge changes. Like the European Union put forth standards on cars. That means that basically European car manufacturers won't be able to make entirely combustion cars soon.
Yeah.
If not already.
Which is good.
And the UK passed a similar law. And if you think about it, that is that's Bugatti and BMW and like a bunch of like really big car manufacturers. So if that happens, that's happening, and it does seem that as things are coming back to normal, the oil companies have figured out that they can make more profit by just charging more for the oil they have than furthering exploration, which means that they are essentially going to be racking up the price of oil, which will sort of force us off of these things, because it's going to make gas so expensive that even something like an electric car would seem less punishing by example. And all those forces together make me think that there's bigger forces than any individual human can really push that are starting to move the needle in some pretty good ways. That's the main thing. The higher oil price is the reason why energy prices are so high right now. Yes. They tried to blame the war in Russia, which is sort of the case in Europe, but globally, it's that they figured out that they can just charge more for the same oil, and then they don't have to invest in new exploration, which, at this point might be a liability because it'll hurt you politically, and it's possible that, your oil exploration might get shut down before you can even reap the benefits of it. So it's kind of like how when Trump tried to reopen coal and then realized that he could not get any company that was sane to start doing more coal exploration because there is nobody who has any money who is stupid enough to invest in coal at this point. But and it's like all of that was wild, but like then I was like, walking, and then I'm like, wait a minute. That means that like despite what I've been thinking my whole life, humanity has like a future potentially. Like some hard shit's going to happen, and there's going to be some rough stuff in the years, but that does mean that more than any point that I think in my like adult life, I've like actually been like, oh, there will be humans like 200, 300 years from now. Huh.
Weird.
That's the closest optimistic I can get. That's my hope. That's my anti-doomer action, guys.
Did you mention the Korean fusion reactor too?
Yes. Oh, that's not even the only one. ITER is looking very promising. That's the one in France, because France is just a nuclear is just a little nuclear bomb that exists in the middle of Europe, that they have one last service to humanity, and that is to make fusion power. Then we have evolved past the need for France. But
then they're done.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service. France gets removed from the earth.
Yep. But California, there's a fusion lab in California that managed to have ignition for the first time ever, which meant that they were able to make a self-reacting reaction, which means that it was able to fuse under its own power, which was the thing that we weren't able to do before. Mm-hmm. Which is huge, because that is sort of the thing that they've been trying to do for ages. Then there's the Korean study that you talked about, where they were able to maintain the temperatures needed to have nuclear fusion for 30 seconds, which is a record.
Yeah.
So it's like that technology that's been 20 years away forever, but it feels like there's been like some real breakthroughs like this year.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that it's gonna like end up being impactful, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. It would be wild. What's it called? I don't think it's not. It's definitely not going to come together in time for what needs to be done to fight climate change. But it is a very interesting possible future technology that feels less like a dream than it was a little while back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also found an article that says Elon Musk slams fusion, which means I now believe fusion is going to save.
Yeah.
Fusion is unequivocally good and a very worthwhile investment.
Yeah. I was crossing the street the other day at some lights, and there was a Tesla sort of out, like right in front of me on the street. And I was like worried because I'm like, oh no, is it? This is the car with the autopilot that just runs over people. I'm gonna get killed by this little Tesla. Seeing them more and more though, which is I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah,
More,
same here.
more. I guess more EVs is better than not more EVs. There are better EVs out there, but yeah,
Yeah. We'll take what we can get, I feel.
yes. All right, this is I'm going to get canceled for this take right now. Elon Musk is a terrible person, and I hate everything that he represents and what he does and his ideals. If he, either way, somehow through his work, gets us through sort of the crucible of figuring out how to mass produce batteries and electric cars to the point where we can transition off of them, oh, that almost cancels it out. Almost.
It would he would have a better chance of canceling it out if he didn't convince California to not build a high-speed rail network.
Yeah. He's shitty in so many extremely bad ways, but in this one very specific way, he's not, and that makes me terrible. Anyways, that's yeah. Ugh, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Okay. Alternate history question.
Ooh.
Interesting. This is some German history, so I think that you would know more than me because I don't know anything about Germany. Would the Red Baron have been a Nazi? On one hand, Hermann Goering took over his job after the Baron died, so there's among World War I pilots. On the other, I understand some former Prussian nobility didn't like the Nazis. If only they would just rather have the Kaiser back.
I don't know enough about the Red Baron as an individual, but I'm pretty sure he would have been a Nazi.
Or at least an enabler.
Assuming that he'd staged the thing, like because after the end of World War One, he may have fucked off, because a lot of German nobility like fucked off to like Belgium and the Netherlands.
Yeah, where all evil things go.
Yeah, I mean, he probably would have gone to the Netherlands, or Sweden. Honestly, like we have a lot of like old German minor nobility. So yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to see if like what's his personal like political life.
For the record, the only reason why I know about the Red Baron is because he is a character in the Canadian nationalist narrative.
Really?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that the reason why the Red Baron was killed by a fighter pilot by the name of Billy Bishop, who was a Canadian fighter pilot in World War One.
Oh.
And like we have like an airport named after Billy Bishop. One of the weird things about Canada in the World Wars specifically is that for some reason we became like the Air Force of the British combined Allied forces. So like at one point Canada had one of the largest air forces on Earth. I think it had the largest air force on Earth, and it had like what's it called? Like Allied troops would go to Canada to train to become pilots, and like I don't know, apparently Canada put out a bunch of good pilots. I don't know what the story is on that, but
yeah, I don't know enough about the Red Baron. or his personal life. He seems to have mostly been a person who just like did like fighter piloting very well. Um,
Oh no, there's
so
evidence to suggest that he was actually shot down by Australian troops on the ground.
yes, that's the theory that I heard.
But that conflicts
Yeah,
with the Canadian nationalist narrative. Then what's the point of Billy Bishop? You just named an airport after nobody? Yeah. He
yeah,
was shot down by a flying doghouse. Yes, exactly. Um,
exactly.
is
Yeah, like he might not have been. It's difficult to say because he was a sort of national hero at the time, and he probably would be after as well. It's very possible that he would be sort of incorporated into sort of the Nazi sort of like mythos of the nation.
yeah, they courted those people, didn't they?
Yeah, for sure.
Like war
Like
heroes and stuff.
they, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like they really like wanted to have them and parade them around. Like so, even a lot of people who like didn't like the Nazis themselves or like their ideology were still sort of like held up and like hung out with the Nazis because they would, like they would court them. They would like pay for fancy hotels and fancy food and shit, and like parade them around Germany.
Yeah. And if there was one group that Nazi ideology was popular among, it was World War One veterans, and he would be one
Yeah,
of those. So,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. The next question we got here is, oh boy, some Russian history stuff. How much did the Chernobyl disaster influence the collapse of the Soviet Union? Cynical historians suggested that the initial Soviet cover-up was a major blow to the glasnost reforms that had to be followed up by perestroika. Gorbachev said that he'd be in office for at least another 20 years if it weren't for the disaster.
Yeah, that's yeah. After like the opening up of the Soviet Union, right, and the more freedom of information, more like a lot of people found out about the Chernobyl disaster for
From
the first
Sweden.
time.
Wasn't it Sweden? Didn't you
And
guys detect like radioactive particles and were like,
yeah, I mean we
bruh.
were first to sort of discover them, but a lot of people in the Soviet Union didn't hear about it uh, for a long time. Like a lot of people in the West learned about Chernobyl um, via sort of like international media and stuff like that, but a lot of people in Russia, for example, didn't learn about it. Um, like they would hear sort of the idea of yeah, it was a fire, an accident happened, but it's fixed, and it's just like okay,
That sounds very much how the
uh,
Soviet news worked.
yeah,
Something
the
happened, but it's
scale of
fine now.
yeah. So like when there was more freedom of information, for example, and more like connections between Soviet Union and the rest of the world, a lot of people found out about it, and it was sort of like one part of, at least from what I've heard, it was like one part of sort of realizing that you can't trust the government, which is a big reason for why the fall of the Soviet Union happened.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Especially if there were like countries like the Baltics that were already on thin ice.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta say, on that kind of note of history, there's a YouTuber that I like a lot because of his Dungeons and Dragons content. But then every once in a while, he like kind of laments. He's like, "Oh yeah, my family had a castle in Estonia that was taken away when the Soviets invaded," and I'm like, "You should not be proud of that, but okay."
Yeah.
And I like, oh my god, exiled royalty. Okay, fine.
I love minor nobility. Sweden is fucking riddled with them, and we need to get rid of them.
I have
Because
this.
occasionally like in every election cycle, you'll also just hear people talk like you'll hear like the most like weird takes ever from like people wanting to be like I should be allowed to sell people wine from my vineyard without having to have a license. And the name will be something like Elizabeth von Feichen or something like that. Just like long ass stupid name.
Maybe she and her cousin husband have like really good wine.
Yeah.
But something makes me think. Now I don't know if this is true because I don't know any nobles at all, and I don't even live in a country where I don't think there are that many. But so it makes me think that the more minor a noble you are, the bigger deal you make about it.
Yeah.
It feels like if you're like, oh yeah, I'm like a what's a really low title, like a viscount.
No, a background is pretty high up, I think.
What's the minorest noble one can be?
Uh, I'm trying to think.
There's
No,
still
yeah, you're right. Viscount is like it's the lowest. You're right. You're so right.
kind of like how like really rich people tend to try to keep very down low about it, their very real richness. Like if you're like a Rothschild or something like if you're like from that like generational wealth, you tend to try to keep a pretty low profile, while like the people sort of people who are sort of below that are like way more ostentatious.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that works with nobility too.
Well, I think so. I think there's a sort of inverse thing that like where the very lowest are very loud about it, and then it goes down in loudness the higher up you get. But then you reach the monarchy itself, like the the ruling family, then they become loud as shit about it again.
It's whether or not you have a job because of your title. It's whether you have a job because of your title or whether you don't have a job because of your title.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see what we got next. Poop. Can I talk about how the West U.S. created radicalism in Islamic countries, Afghanistan in particular, during the Cold War? Would appreciate as this continues to affect much of the world. I mean, this smells like just a request for me to make a video, which I definitely think would be a useful video to do. But long story short, yeah, in a lot of countries, especially in the Middle East and Central Asia, the only major factions that were anti-communist were radical fundamentalist Muslim like Islamists, and so the U.S., who supported whoever was opposing communism, basically propped up whoever they could find to oppose usually anti-colonial or left-wing movements, and that resulted in lots of like random despotic dictators or like apartheid regimes, or in the case of the Middle East and Central Asia, a lot of like radical Muslim like terrorist groups.
Mm-hmm.
That's the long story. That's the long short of it. And because they supported them by like giving them like military training and weapons, they then use that to get power and take over and become the people in charge. Even some and then even some like Saudi Arabia were like a royal family that was put in power by the British as part of a deal to push the Turks out of the Arabian Peninsula. If you wish to see a story about that, watch the movie Lawrence of Arabia.
Ayla's all this time.
Yeah. That's the best TikTok meme about America. It's like we need to fund the terrorist group to defeat the terrorist group that we funded to defeat the terrorist group. Yeah.
Yeah, we just need to fund moderate rebels in Afghanistan. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah. But not too moderate, or else they might be socialists or something.
We can't have that.
Can you imagine trying to start like a rebel group in like a war-torn country where you're trying to sell yourself as the moderates? Like, we're standing up for semi-reform, slight changes. I'm gonna die for slight changes.
I'm gonna die for almost having the status quo,
Yeah.
but quieter.
Mm-hmm. All right. The last time I asked you about extreme decolonization, you asked me something to the effect of, does stolen property stop being stolen when it's passed to the thief's children? I think my answer to that would be no, but whether they have a moral obligation to give it back depends on how reliant those children are on the stolen property for survival, and why I think it'd be reasonable to expel West Bank colonizers, but unreasonable to expel Canadian colonizers. I think Israel could settle them somewhere else. Whereas I think in some weird hypothetical future where white people were kicked out of Canada, you'd have nowhere to go. Does that make sense? Sure. This feels like a very man-bunnish, weird way of looking at what land back discourse is, but okay. I've never seen a land back discourse that literally talks about like sending all of the settler colonial people back to Europe or whatever. But okay. I'm not sure how to. Depending on survival. That's the. So say that you are a king of England who's about to inherit, say, a hat that contains a $40 billion diamond that was stolen from South Africa. Hypothetically.
Yeah.
Maybe that should go back. But I guess he's not depending on that diamond for survival. I don't know. So I don't know how much this land back discourse has hit your side of the Atlantic or not. Because I know that the takeosphere on the internet has definitely had a talk about it. And you always get dragged into North American bullshit because of our cultural hegemony, so. Have you heard a whole lot about it?
Not really.
Okay, well the idea
land back and the whole thing about that is very much like a type of discourse. I feel like focused on like North America, and it's not something that I sort of deal with because it's a very different type of like decolonization discourse than what I have here in Sweden.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, the idea here is that basically, since every single inch of Canada is stolen territory from the indigenous nations that we have then forced into these small reserves, that we would do something called the land back movement. And the land back movement is essentially a process of decolonization that's not focused around like giving them random things as much as it is returning what is stolen to them. So, like, for example, Canada, and actually a good chunk of the United States, especially in the western states, are just empty public land that the government leases to resource extraction corporations to just, like, mine or forest or whatever. I'm sure you've got crown lands like that, too. So,
yeah, pretty much.
So the first thing would be to give that back to the indigenous people that it was taken from, because it's their land and they should have the right to say what to do with it. That is most of the land back movement's arguments in a nutshell, is just that. Like, they're not saying, like, you know, I haven't heard any that are like, we should give back Montreal to the indigenous people who would then do the largest mass deportation campaign in human history to kick all of the people out. But about giving them the vast majority of the country that is still just not being used for anything, and let them be stewards of their territory.
Yeah.
But if you are a certain YouTuber who I cannot get to stop trending on Twitter, no matter how much I say I'm not interested, this they take the most uncharitable response and go, "This is what they all want," and it's like, oh Jesus Christ!
Damn it.
Even stuff like having the process like not only returning that public land, but like right of first refusal for local indigenous people for when you're trying to sell land, and like none of these are like violent systems. In fact, it's shockingly not violent given what we deserve. But yeah. That's my take on that.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good take.
But the thing is that it's not the ridiculous, exaggerated take that people want it to be so that they can dismiss it. And there's got to be a good... I'm trying to think if there's a good logical fallacy name for when you take someone's position and then. Oh yeah, it's like reductum ad absurdum or something like that.
Yeah.
Where you just take the position, take it to its most absurd degree to show what's wrong. That's basically that guy's entire shtick. All right.
Kind of.
What if somebody was dying of a terminal cancer that could only be cured by saying the N-word? Then would it be okay?
I've heard this though. Like people say this shit like on debate Twitch, and they think they're smart by having this debate.
Yeah, I got a
Like it's the
question.
dumbest shit. We're making a joke, but like people legitimately do this, the stupidest fucking shit.
Yeah, I got a submission that was like, "Would you like to be on my debate stream?" And I was just like, "Delete." Did I tell
did
you
one
that?
debate once, and I
Oh
hated it.
no. Did I tell you that I got an email to go on a debate for a podcast? And then when I went to their website, everything was like, "Oh, this is fascist."
Ah,
Like they were trying to like sell themselves as like a new political party, the not right, not left, but forward type deal. But they were like, all of these authors. Now this person was dismissed despite all their good ideas and because they were Nazis. But they're like they were trying to do like this sort of like almost Mussolini-esque fascism for America. So it's like pathway to citizenship, but no what's it called? But like harsh crackdown on the borders. And like in order to join the country, you have to pass a test to show that you have American values. And it's like, wait, what? Okay.
yeah,
It was
fucked up.
yeah. Okay. I did see. Didn't Andrew Yang start a new political party that's called like the Forward Party or something weird
Yeah,
like that?
or the forward party.
Oh my god.
His whole shtick is like basically
Third positionism.
like people don't like the two parties, so I'm gonna make a new one. Like asking him what it actually stands for, it's like I have a new one. It's a third one, and we should have a third one.
Yeah. I haven't Googled what third positionism is, but that.
You know,
Then again, I guess when Andrew Yang
I'm
ran for
hoping
president, his entire manifesto was just a litany of stupid ideas. So maybe the less he talks, the better.
I you know, I have hopes though for America a little bit though with this like what is it called, preferred vote thing, the thing that they did in Alaska.
Mm-hmm. Like the jungle primary.
No, the thing that made the Sarah Palin like preferred voting, like ranked voting.
Oh yeah, that's what the
Uh,
Liberals wanted to do for Canada, and then they got elected and decided that, oh wait, if that election had happened like that here, we would have lost. So we're gonna not do that.
yeah. Like I have hope that ranked voting might actually like be some sort of band-aid for the American fucked up system that they have. It's still not good because it's basically just a way to always have centrists. But it's better, I guess. It's better than the system you have right now.
It
You
doesn't.
need proportional representation. Holy shit.
It doesn't actively punish not being from the two centrist political parties.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Y'all still need fucking proportional representation. Like
I
America,
know.
holy shit, I'm losing my mind over how shitty your political system is. Also, like in the Anglosphere, just like, oh, we have a different first past the post system. Like you're,
Yeah,
like
I want.
the political party that I'm a part of here in Sweden, like would not be able to exist if we had your political system. Then we just have to vote for the Social Democrats over and over again.
Yeah,
Like it wouldn't work.
yeah. That's sort of the problem with our country. Our Social Democratic Party is pushing to someday get rid of our Senate and to put in proportional representation, but none of the other parties, mostly because they're like big tent centrist parties, don't want to actually go through with something like that. It sucks.
Right.
I hate parliamentary systems so much. Okay. Let's see. How long will the YouTube partnership program last? It's no longer 2011 when a single animator can make a small but favorable amount of cash with a hit. Now they have to compete with other videos based on watch time. Meanwhile, Patreon and Twitch's slightly easier criteria for partnership mean that once one can start making money earlier in those places than on YouTube and without having to meet YouTube's criteria. Oh yeah. I don't know if I think the partnership program is going to keep lasting, but
Yeah.
I don't know a single YouTuber where the money they make from Google is in any way like a reasonable amount of money.
Yeah, it's always bullshit. But but like it's still gonna stay. There's no like threat to it. It's just a way for I don't see a way that they could get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because like it's a way for them to justify having ads on your content and you getting a cut of it. And every single platform where you make content and there are ads on the content that you didn't put there, you have a right to get paid for that.
Yeah.
And the second that that doesn't work, then it doesn't work anymore. Like even TikTok does that, even if TikTok does it in a really shitty way. Um, so I don't see YouTube being able to get rid of it because if they even tried getting rid of it, then people would riot.
Yeah. Plus, also, if there was something that big like that, like there are several large Silicon Valley companies. Like I know from like the stuff that I've been like reading behind the scenes that there are several large companies that are trying to worm their way into YouTube's to take a slice out of YouTube's pie,
Yeah,
and it
including Nebula.
yeah, including us. And I know that Amazon has been thinking about it for years.
Amazon wants one so bad. Like they have Twitch and they're so happy about it, but they want a YouTube so bad.
Yeah, and they have the resources to do it. I could also like Yahoo tried it; it failed. Spotify could do it. They
But
yeah.
the second YouTube decided to be like, no, you're not gonna get ad money anymore. Like Amazon is going to hit like the release button on like their like video Prime or whatever the fuck they're gonna call it, and just be
Yep.
like, they're gonna give YouTubers a worse deal than YouTube did, but they're still gonna give a deal, and then suddenly the entire space is dead. And that's how YouTube dies. That's how the entire YouTube space dies because then it starts getting divided and all stuff like that. Which is why they're never gonna do it.
Yeah, that's when you end up with like what happened with streaming television, and
Yeah,
why now you have to pay like $100 a month to get the 17 streaming services that.
you know. And that's what YouTube. I think YouTube is smart enough to know that like if they fuck with their formula too much, it's gone. Because right now they have a cash cow that just like churns out money forever.
Yeah, they did like a few years ago put in a requirement that you have to get to 1,000 subscribers and like at least 1,000 minutes of watch time, and even
Yeah.
that was very controversial and got people in a lot of trouble or got them in a lot of heat. So glad that I got in before they made that requirement. All right.
No, I mean you have that. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I have 1,000 subscribers, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I know that, but like it's an easy way to get
Yeah, but like
for us, but it's difficult to get when you're starting. Of course.
yeah. So yeah, it's
I,
going to be
I just realized that I had and like tried to get you along into um like big YouTuber phobia, like big YouTuber mania, because I was like, that's easy, 1,000 subscribers, who doesn't have that? And then I was like, most people don't.
I remember the early days.
You know.
I found a social media graphic I made a while back celebrating hitting 75 subscribers, and I was like, this is precious.
Yeah.
Good times. Okay, let's see. Am I the only one tired of Canadian liberals and leftists acting like all the racist shitheads are just in the prairies? I don't mean to downplay that as a conservative region, but I grew up in rural Ontario. Most of the boys in my grade use ethnic slurs and talked about Indigenous kids carrying knives everywhere. I've seen videos of people in BC yelling at Chinese people for not speaking English, and of Newfoundlanders yelling white power at random people. I'm sick of people acting like hatred and bigotry is something that's over there, and community is some secret progressive hive mind. Yep. I wasn't so much of a question. That is just a statement that I agree with. I mean, I live in like one of the most racist cities in Ontario, so I where last year there was literally an Islamophobic mass murder event that happened. So yeah,
Damn, that was just last year, wasn't it?
yeah.
Whew.
It feels like again my entire concept of time has been warped by the pandemic, and it feels like 2 years. Like when I realized that next summer I'll have been living in London as long as I lived in Toronto. Is like, wait, what? I feel like we just got here, and it's because we spent like 2 years locked up. It's really wild.
Yeah.
Would Canada still support the monarchy after Queen Elizabeth passing? Well, yeah.
Well,
This question's less hypothetical than it was when it was submitted. Just got a new question that is just a request to make a video. No thanks. Okay. I think we will. I feel like Canada's. I think Canada's gonna stick with the monarchy for now. I feel like, unless like King Charles ends up like being really insufferable, and also not living long. I don't know. I sense that Canadians not as enamored with things as we could. Maybe when Charles dies, maybe that'll change. But I don't know.
then we're having King William.
King William. William.
Which is going to happen like soon too, I bet, because like there's no indication that Charles is going to live very long.
Charles is 73 and has kidney problems. So yeah,
and like his hands are hot dogs. Like
yeah, that's the kidney
long.
problems.
Oh, that is the kidney problem.
Yeah, because he's on. It means he's on water pills.
Yeah.
Yeah, is. Turns out, 73, not a great time health wise for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And also, Charles III is insufferable. Like that whole video that went around about how there's just like a thing on his desk that he had to move out of the way, and he refused to even like. Is this just like a British thing because the British royal family is so insufferable, or is like Princess Victoria like this too?
No, Princess Victoria is great. Everyone loves Princess Victoria, and the king. Like to be fair, like the king we have right now is great, and Victoria, like the princess here, is also great. Literally everyone loves them. And like even in like hardcore leftist circles, you can't be an anti-monarchist because they're just so lovable. They're just nice.
So they're not. So the British royal family are like standoutish in how terrible they are.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Our royal family self called themselves because like the royal family, every royal family has like 4 or 5 kids, and then those kids have 4 or 5 kids more. So eventually, like the royals become too many, and occasionally, like every few decades, the government has to sort of be like, no. If you not all of you can have money. Only some of you can have money. But our royal family, like a few years ago, were like self-selected.
Oh my
sort
goodness.
of just being like, he was like, no, these people cannot have that. These people are not real royals. They are merely members of nobility, so they're not royals. And everyone that kind of came out of left field because it basically meant that the royal family was cutting its own salary,
Oh my.
which is kind of unheard of for a monarchy because I feel like they can tell that like if they don't do shit like this every now and then, people are gonna start talking about getting rid of them.
Yeah, it's true. I seem to recall there being great stories like there was a Spanish noble. I feel like she was a princess or something like that, who was like. I think she was like in her like mid to late 50s and had a boyfriend who was like 20 years younger than her. And I was like,
Nice.
Very Spanish. Good job.
Yeah. Peak European behavior.
Yeah, it's like king shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what our king did. Like he went to New York and did coke on strippers' bellies.
See, this is why like it would be,
And now he's king.
man. Scandinavian politics are so wild. You just had like the Finnish prime minister have a picture like with her top off or whatever, and or had like a raging house party with
Yeah.
topless people around.
Well, the reason, like, okay, the reason why people got upset at that is because like far right nerds basically hate her, so they made it up to be like a more moral scandal than it actually is. But apparently there is some validity to maybe being a little bit like to asking some questions, because the friend group that she was out partying with, they have a group chat, and the group chat is called like the flower group. Like baking flour,
Okay.
and I mean, they don't really give the impression that they go out and like bake cookies and like do that.
Oh,
They might be referring to another type of white powder.
just hanging out with Gustav in New York.
But
But this is how you know that like if you wanted like peak royal, like just peak royal misbehaving bullshit. Is the alternate universe in which the French didn't get rid of their royal family, since like basically what's it called? Cheating on your wife is basically like is just standard practiced in France.
But traditional, yeah.
Cheating is just like, if I remember correctly, the kings of France had unofficial mistress. Like this is the person I officially cheat on my wife with.
Yeah, like it's a court position.
Yeah. Oh my. We were having the air show. We had in over the weekend, and so I'm like, oh, that's the sound of fighter jets flying over my house. Okay.
Oh, great. Yeah, I sometimes hear that too because we live close to an airbase.
Yeah. What's the difference between?
Which is great to hear, like when your neighboring countries at war.
Yeah. What is the difference between big city people in Canada and the U.S.? Canada. The one thing that we noticed that was different, especially like because my wife noticed this because she's lived in America, that American cities are a lot more segregated by race and class lines, and in Canada the cities seem a lot more like block to block, neighborhood to neighborhood. Like there's less of like the bad part of town here. It's all sort of a mix, which I think is interesting.
That is interesting.
It means you like. You interact with more different people, and in a way that I don't think you do in cities in the U.S. Just because they have a whole history of basically just segregating everybody who are part of the marginalized classes away, so that you don't even see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hiding them away, underneath the overpass.
Yeah. Everyone's talking about the French thing in chat. Yeah, I don't know why France just doesn't admit that they are a polygamous society, and that rich men are just allowed to have two wives. It's an unspoken rule in the French world, but for some reason. Oh, I don't know if you heard the podcast. This is the first time I think I've had you on since the public unveiling of Mamma Mia's Law.
What's the Mamma Mia's Law?
On our podcast, we did a two-parter on the Renaissance UFO paintings. And so we made a lot of very bad Italian accents and Italian jokes. And I pointed out the sort of agreement we came to that if you had colonies, you can be made fun of.
That's
fair. I was going to originally call it Tristan and Mia's Law, but then Scott in an active genius was like, no, you should call it Mamma Mia's Law. And it was like, it's now part of the podcast's canon. It's the lore. Thank you for the 2 British pounds there, 255 AD. Will it be big news in Sweden when Carl the 16th dies?
Yeah, it'll be gigantic. Like it'll be our Queen Liz. But maybe even worse, because like a lot of Brits didn't like Queen Elizabeth. Everyone likes the king here. And like we're actually excited for Victoria. Like when Victoria becomes queen, people will be like, yeah.
All right, I gotta see
Can't
this.
wait.
I gotta see this royal family.
They're very Swedish looking, to be fair. Even though
Well,
they're
that can go many ways. Victoria, Crown Princess of Sweden. Okay, she's got like short black hair. At least in the picture she does. Oh, it's a ponytail. Okay.
Yeah, it's probably tied up.
Okay. Yeah, there's in a very Swedish way, I guess. She doesn't have. The family looks significantly less inbred than the royal family in the UK does.
That's because it is.
There's less what we're calling Windsor fingers.
Oh, that's horrible. But also, yes.
Looks like they might have had children with people they weren't related to a few times.
But that's actually something that they do. Like the Queen, for example, is from, I think, a very different like type of world. I don't think she's a commoner, but she's close. The Prince Consort for Victoria is also like, he's just a commoner. He's just a guy.
Some guy.
He's just a guy. He was a personal trainer, and now he's Prince Consort.
Personal trainer. Personal trainer to the royals.
Literally, yes.
Damn. Okay.
That's how they met.
Just some guy. I love it.
Yeah, we're gonna have Prince Consort, some dude.
So what they need to do then, if they need to make the nobility for genetic reasons, they just do a lottery, and every year one new person gets to be of noble blood. Like it's like a national lottery.
See, that's what I want, because I would enter it every year.
Yeah. You want your castle.
I do, and I'm gonna fight to get it.
Well, you're one step closer. You're a politician now. So, you said, and also, I think you were showing to me once that, like, castles are surprisingly cheap in Europe.
Yeah.
Mostly because they probably need, like, hundreds of thousands of euros of renovations in order to be livable.
Yeah.
So mostly just, like...
And also, like, they're in the middle of nowhere, too. Like,
yeah, they're, like, half-destroyed piles of rocks in the middle of nowhere.
Well, like, for real, I went to university in a place called Uppsala, and the entire place is littered in old castles and mansions that are out in the middle of nowhere with no bus service and no train service. And like they don't have proper plumbing, they don't have proper electricity, they don't have internet. So like no one wants to live there.
Mm-hmm.
And all the rich people want to live in Stockholm, in like the fancy areas.
In the grand tradition of your people, do all of the castles just have like in runes castle written on it?
I wish, but alas, no.
This is very high.
This is very high.
I just saw I saw a TikTok the other day that brought back that story that you told me about the antler that they try to translate forever, and then they translated just meant antler.
Classic
Vikings.
by the way. Yeah. Okay. Listen. Okay. Well, now they don't show it here, but there's a
Uppsala, just upriver from Downsala.
Kinda. So there's a huge estate, close to Uppsala, old ass, built in the 1700s. 160 hectares of land in addition to it. And it costs as much as a 2-bedroom apartment in East Stockholm.
Dear God. To rent or to buy?
To buy.
Well, shit.
So like, legitimately at this point, like, why would I buy an apartment in central Stockholm, when I work from home?
Yeah. The only thing is that you'd have to buy like roads that go to your place and an internet connection and sewers and like a septic tank, electricity and...
Yeah. But you know, like it would be a nice renovation project.
Yeah, maybe you can just like be like one of those cottagecore people and just have pastel colored clothes and grow your own food and stuff.
Legitimately my dream. There's a castle that's been like for sale for ages.
Castlecore, yeah.
It It has a ton of land. It has a quarry sort of built into it because a lot of these like estates, right? They also come with a lot of land, and a lot of the estates, like they can make money. So, but they're just like they're just like weird, inconvenient, and not super profitable. So like the estate that I've been looking at for years, it's still not sold. Um, the quarry, for example, it's just a normal like a gravel quarry, and it's a bit like it's a bit away. There are cheaper ways um, to get gravel, so it hasn't. So that quarry hasn't been sold because it's not profitable, or it is profitable, but it's not profitable to the point where it's actually worth sort of like investing and sort of redistricting the estate and stuff like that. Um, and there's also like a ton of woodland that you can also sell for like the forestry industry, but it's also like a bit like away from like other types of forestry industries, so people just buy things up north in Sweden instead because it's more efficient. You could make money from them, and people do, but they're just like not as profitable as other things, so they don't. So in my dream here, I buy this castle. I live in the castle. You can even rent out like a bunch of bunch
City
of the
builder
places,
in
for
real
example.
life.
Yes. You could rent out to the quarry. You could rent out part of the forest to like industry for them to use it. Um,
But you'd be their
and
landlord,
and
landlady.
you yeah, I guess. But you could also rent out the entire castle for like weddings and shit.
Yeah.
And
No,
suddenly it's making money for you.
yeah. But you live in a castle. You have people who rent out your land and pay you.
Work the land for me,
Yeah.
yes.
And then
I
what's it called? If
don't I don't see the problem here.
you can live out your castle core dreams by like just like wearing fancy Renaissance dresses and like having like footmen, maybe even like hiring private security that have to wear like suits of armor with halberds.
Yes, yes.
Or
You
okay,
think
do
I'm
you go
joking?
this direction? Do you go like 18th century, or do you go older and start wearing like furs and drinking out of horns and go full skull core?
No, no. I'd go like I'm thinking like 1800s dandy.
Okay,
That's
Victoria.
that's
Okay,
the vibe.
Muldergrad. Yeah. Okay.
But legitimately, this is my dream. Like it's an expensive lifestyle, and you need a lot of money to get into it. But like, if I had the money to do it, um, I would. I would. Like legitimately, I would, and I would live like this, and I would grow my own food.
You would start
And
a
like,
village
okay,
around you.
fine. I wouldn't rent out the housing because then I'd be a landlady. Um, but you can start a commune on that fucking in that castle. Like, why not?
That is true. I know that there's some people here who've been talking about all of the YouTubers moving to a commune in the rural area, but why not in castle?
Why not a castle?
Oh yeah, Renaissance. You could hold like the biggest Renaissance festival. You could have what's it called? You could be responsible. I guess in Sweden you'd be for calling it'd be called jousting. You could bring back the jousting tournaments.
What is the jousting?
Jousting? I don't know what it's called in.
Jousting.
I don't know what it's called in Swedish.
Oh, turnerspel. That makes sense. Or tourney games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go hardcore. Like what's it called? You can go. You can improve your ribbon gift collections.
But like legitimately though, like this is. Would you not like this? Would this not be a fun way to live? Like, okay, picture that you have infinite resources and you can live your life however you want to. Do you want to live in an apartment building in like a regular Swedish town? Fine, right? It's fine. With like your friends and your family like close by. That's great. Or would you want to live an alternative lifestyle in the country, growing your own food, dressing like in the 1800s, and living in a literal castle?
Be pretty fun. Won't lie.
Like it's a
Feels
life
like
experience, right?
yeah.
And then you pull in some internet, you pull in like you make sure that everything works.
All you need to do is
Um,
like yeah, like I feel like to survive on that, like to get the money to survive on that, all you would need to do is make like lifestyle vlogs about living in the castle and like live like castle life, like van life type things, and
mhm.
you'd be able to live on that alone. You'd be like Anybody,
Yeah,
any like brands that want to appeal to castle core living would give you free stuff, and you could live off that.
exactly.
And if the Mongols ever return, you're set.
I'm set. I have a castle.
You're like, here's
And the castle
my.
would be good for YouTube videos. Yeah, exactly. That like it's also practical reasons because hiring a studio space in Stockholm costs as much as an apartment, and apartments are already quite expensive. If I could buy a castle, two in one.
Yeah, here's the
Also,
portcullis. Here's where I pour boiling oil on people if they come trying to sell me stuff.
yeah.
Here's
Like,
my
come on.
parapets for if I need to fire arrows at anybody who comes too close.
I haven't had this fantasy in like in a few years. Oh, I have had it, but I haven't talked about it a lot. But like this is legitimately something that I would like to do.
Yeah, you can have
If I had the resources to do it, I would do it in a heartbeat.
I guess you would probably do more like sport shooting rather than if you're going 19th century, then you'd be more sport shooting, not archery and stuff.
You can still do archery. Fuck it. Who gives a shit? The commune.
Yeah,
It's an because I belong to the weird type of like leftist where I love decadent like bourgeois, not even bourgeois, but like aristocratic shit. Oh, I love it, and I want the working class to live like the aristocracy. That's what I want. That's the kind of leftist that I am.
very specific type of leftist.
A leftist that like belongs in like the 1820s.
Just you and Karl Marx is the only two people who felt this way. Or was it called?
Listen.
Or Peter Kropotkin? Wasn't Peter Kropotkin a like an aristocrat who also happened to be like this like anarcho-communist guy?
Yeah, kind of. But like, doesn't it sound fun?
Yeah,
Like,
it does sound. It'd be pretty
would,
sweet.
I would do this.
Yeah, it'd be pretty.
You could.
Hunt your own moose. I guess you don't have mooses there. I don't know what you have there.
No, we got hella moose.
Oh, okay. How did the moose get over there? I thought they were here.
How'd the moose get over there? I thought they were over here.
Okay.
Where did moose originate? Origin of moose. I want to see who owns the moose.
I officially swear off absurd decolonialist hypos. Well, thank you, 255. And thank you for the 2 GBP. £2 sterling. 2 pounds of silver. Oh, man. Have you by any chance seen Watch the Orville at all?
No, but I'm meaning to because it's very good.
Yeah, the last season ended with like an explicitly anti-capitalist episode, which I was wild about.
That's fun.
All right. Do I think Canada will eventually become a republic? Yes, not now, but I don't think that Canada is going to do it willingly. I think that it seems that the UK is closer to abandoning the monarchy than we are, and when the UK abandons it, I feel like Canada will probably do so as well.
Yeah, like once the first domino tips over, that's it, you know.
But like Canada's thing is, I think that it's important. Like I feel like we're never going to be able to meaningfully address decolonization or the sort of white supremacy innate in our country, or even if you still think like a settler colonist, even like mending the rift between our French and English populations. None of those are going to be fully resolved until we're no longer like living under this freaking British monarchy. That's my take. All right. Given what recently happened at Warner Brothers, where literally years of animated series were memory hold for a tax write-off, would it be wise to say young creators shouldn't bother with big media companies if they don't have to? Speaking for myself, I am no longer interested in risking any of those ghouls owning my ideas so they can lock it up for another IRS tax break. So yeah, the Batgirl thing. You heard about this, yes?
I don't know anything about the Batgirl thing.
So Warner Brothers just got a new like CEO, and it's one of those CEOs that that like hedge funds hire, where they basically strip the company for parts and then sell it to somebody else because they claim that they saved a bunch of money by just like cutting out a bunch of stuff. So basically, to write off a bunch of losses on their taxes, they scrapped 2 movies that were basically done. One of which was like a Christmas Scooby-Doo movie, which like whatever. But the other one was like a Batgirl movie that was going to have like it was going to be played by like this like black woman Batgirl thing. And like no one was super excited about it, but I guess the fact that it got just randomly canceled is like kind of bullshit.
Yeah, just got canned out of nowhere.
But yeah, I mean, this happens when you work with media or big media people all the time. Like I've done big media stuff where like, yeah, you do a bunch of work and then they just throw it out. I worked for a friggin' small nonprofit and I made crap tons of content for them that just never saw the light of day because they couldn't post it. And I think you've done some stuff like that too, haven't you?
Yeah, for sure. Like that stuff happens all the time.
It sucks. That's why they're not really fun to work with. You're basically exchanging lack of all control for access to a humongous audience with a lot more money involved. That's the trade-off.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'm definitely at a point now where it's just like, if they pay me in advance a lot of money, then I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. Otherwise, I can't do it. That's actually one of the reasons why my video got delayed a little bit, because I've been doing shit like that.
Oh yeah.
That might see the light of day if we're lucky.
Oh. I think I know what this is, and it's very exciting, but it is secret. All right. Oh boy, someone's upset. I don't know if you can hear that.
I can. If you need to run, like we can call early. If you need to take care of Bebe.
Kelly's got it, but that's what I'm looking forward to in 10 minutes. Okay. Is it just me, or does the U.S. conservative talking point of "we're a republic, not a democracy" come across as extra sinister now? So the U.S. always tries to justify doing openly anti-democratic things by saying that they're a republic, not a democracy. In which case, you always the immediate response is that you love the republic, you love democracy.
Exactly.
Yeah, baby cry. I know. Like I said, he's growing some teeth, and the teeth are not going well for him.
Teeth hurty.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy. So that's so what was I? Oh my goodness. Okay, so but yeah, like the republicanism is supposed to be representation by the people. It's sinister. Yeah, it's bullshit because America has always prided itself on freedom and democracy, and the fact that they're like now it's because in America their conservatives are losing their grasp on anybody but like old white people, and they're increasingly taking away the things that keep they're basically just delegitimizing the democracy now because that's the only way they know they can hang on to power.
Yeah.
That's their whole thing. And America has been at the forefront of, I think, what a huge amount of people, like almost like 1 billion people, have moved from democracies to non-democracies, like in the last 5 years or something like that.
Something like that.
There's like a growing rise of authoritarianism and a decline of democratic systems. So that's sort of a thing that's happening right now. It's rough. It's bad times. Like the fact that like the European Union has to deal with the fact that now at least 2 of their countries are just not democracies anymore. Like they went from being democracies when they first joined to being not democracies. But also they are some of the best sources of Europe's cheap labor, so they don't want to get rid of them.
Yeah. They want to keep in that as many Eastern Europeans as possible, and also have good relations with Turkey.
Yeah. What's going on with? Has there been any update on? First of all, you guys were spatting with Turkey over the NATO thing,
Yeah, still are.
and you work. Did you guys work out a deal at one point a few weeks ago?
We had a deal, and the deal was that we were going to deport people. I think we've deported one, and we have one more in holding.
Oh no.
But as far as I can tell, nothing else has happened from that. Because technically, we can't break our own law in order to deport people. So it's, you know, thankfully we have that. If the Swedish Democrats end up in power, I assume they're all gone. But for now, everything at least is still like at a standstill.
I also
Still
haven't.
not in NATO.
I also haven't heard of the status of Turkey trying to join the EU in a while. Have they kind of just given up on it, or is that still
Yeah,
a thing
pretty
that?
much.
Okay.
Like I think they still have some sort of like potential status of like wanting to join, but like they need to do economic reforms and they need to do political reforms that they currently can't do. Just the thing that they're doing, even with the Kurdish people in East Turkey, is not something that's like even that is like enough to like disbar them.
Yeah. Also remember, if I remember correctly, that like there's some powerful European countries that don't want them in. Like France really doesn't want them in.
Yeah, France does not want them in, and probably after all the bullshit that like Sweden and Finland has gone through, I don't think we're gonna want them in either.
But also, Sweden's like only like half in the European Union.
Yeah, but we're in.
Okay. Never realized. I didn't know what Scandinavia is like, because they all have sort of weird relationships with the European Union because you don't use the euro.
No. Well, it's because we're both geographically and like politically like apart. We're a little bit like the UK in that way because we're like separated by water.
Ah.
Like technically we have a land border via Russia, but that doesn't really count.
Yeah. Oh, that's another interesting question that I would like to answer. Wonder what's going on. You know that like little bit of Russia that's right by Germany on the Baltic coast?
Yes. Yeah, Kaliningrad.
Yeah, I'm wondering what their situation is if like everybody is cutting off Russia, like what that little bit of land is doing to survive.
They're doing fine apparently. Like they have their own sort of like power systems and everything, so they're doing okay, and people can go in and out. It's just that the flights, instead of having to go like um, over like Poland and Lithuania like they used to, now they have to like go around and like go in the Baltic and then between Finland and Estonia into St. Petersburg, through the sort of like international, the slight international airspace between all the countries in the Baltic
Oh
Sea.
my God. Okay. That sounds like a very long flight for a very short flight.
Hmm.
Okay. Well then, I guess I think my wife has a meeting right at 2, so I might have to wrap up now. Before we go though, can you tell everybody where they can consume Mia content? I guess first one is go to city council meetings in.
Well, you don't have to now because like, I'm already elected.
Yeah, but now like if they want to see your content, which will be like your official statements against your Robert's Rule stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there will be streams online from the meetings once a month, but they're gonna they're gonna be on like the municipal on the municipal website, so
It's gonna be all in Swedish too. So
yes. But you can find my stuff if you go to if you search for Leechfest on Spotify. You can find the podcast that I co-host, that I think is very good. It's about medical history. I think it's good. And you can also watch my YouTube videos on miamulder.com, which will soon be converted into a website. And it has to be soon because I've actually got the Squarespace subscription. But for now, it points to my YouTube page.
nice. All right. Well then, yeah, and I'll see you guys soon. Hopefully, very soon, because I've got some content coming out this week, one way or the other. I will be finishing it today. Whether or not what time I go to bed, I do not know, but it will happen. But yeah, we'll be good. All right, and yeah. So take care, everybody. Sorry, there's a little bit of a weird ending, but yeah.
It's okay. I mean, you know, if we gotta go, we gotta go. It happens. But the good vibes are good.
Take care of take care of yourself and take care of each other. Oh, raiding. That's what I was missing. I need to raid somebody. Who we raiding? Who is good? Who's on? Hoomst is left flank vets. That's the smallest channel currently on, so let's do that.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Keep
They're
it
talking
real.
Swedish elections too. Good.
Nice.
Look at that.
All right. Be good.
All right.
I'll see you on the other side.